Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today with me, I got my man. Wait, which way are you? I love doing this. I got my man, Louches. Louches.
Hello. Hello.
What's up, man? So today we're going to do something kind of fun. I mean, just another one of these kind of talky videos. I need to get Spraggles on another one of these, and I should get all three of us because we're going to do a podcast at some point anyways, so stay tuned for that. We'll have a podcast coming out between me, Louche, and Spraggles in the future, assuming everything all lines up. So we're going to do a meta talk today. We're going to talk about some of the changes that happened. We're going to talk about Decidueye and just give our thoughts on what we expect. What's going to be good? What are we thinking? Yeah. So Louche, what are you thinking, man? Meta-wise, how are you feeling?
I'm from looking at the character, just like, the trailer and a couple of the leaks, like it feels like we could either have a new laner, which is exciting, or we could have another case of attacker in the jungle where it just takes over the meta because of that ultimate. Like only time will tell, though. Only time's gonna
exactly tell. Yeah. So it's really hard to say for sure, and I think that this is like, it's just natural for people to be like, well, what do you think it's gonna? Is it gonna be better than Cinderace? Is it gonna be a jungler? And it really just depends. I had an interesting question the other day, and I want to ask it to you to get your answer. What do you think makes a good attacker in lane?
The ability to secure farm, I think, is the most important thing, and the ability to do it safely.
Yeah,
you don't want to have so Cinderace can do it pretty decently with like the dash, but like you're not doing that. You're not going to do that. That's way too risky.
Yeah. So exactly.
What was your answer?
It really is the ability to secure farm, and when you look at things like Greninja, Cinderace, they just have these light auto attacks, and then they have like one little mini burst. So like Bubbles is DPS. It's not even burst. It just kind of and then Cinderace is, I don't even know what Cinderace's ability is, but it pops out and it's like fire, ember. Yeah, ember. Yeah. So it pops out and does like a little bit of damage, but it's really hard to secure farm against, like, I mean, Snorlax can tackle something and it's like the thing's dead. So it's like, so that's really what makes a good laner. And so, when you're looking at Decidueye, I'm pulling up the ability now. The level 1 ability is Leafage, which pelts leaves into the designated direction, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon hit by them for a short time. After using this move, the user attack and basic attack speed are increased. So I'm not gonna lie, this seems not like a big hitting ability. If you've actually seen the ability, it just kind of spams out like a bunch of damage. So it kind of reminds me of like Bubbles. So I think it depends on how the character feels like as you're leveling up, and if it can do well in a tri lane, or if it can be well in a duo lane. So we'll see. My personal prediction, I think it's going to be more of a jungler.
Yeah, I think it's going to determine on the damage numbers as well, because I think what also makes good laner is like the ability to poke and pressure. So even if it's not good secure, like you can line like your Snorlaxes or your Mimes for that, and if you have a lot of actual damage for the trades, that can actually help out too.
Yeah, now I was gonna say, just for the sake of saying, I haven't pulled up that where me and you can see it. Astonished is the other early game ability. It deals damage to opposing Pokemon and decreases their move speed for a short time. So I really don't see a huge, and this is opposing Pokemon, so I'm assuming you can't use this on camps maybe, but it says Pokemon, so maybe you can. Yeah, I guess you would.
I think that's how Feather Dance's got it too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. I guess it would say player. I don't know if it didn't. So yeah, you can definitely use that. I don't even know why I said that. So yeah, I don't see a ton of crazy secure here, but it could be a lot like Venusaur too, where it's like the character doesn't have like a major burst. I mean, Razor Leaf is pretty good, but like the boosted auto is really good. So I guess we'll just really have to wait and see. Now, one thing that I'm really excited about with the character is that I feel like the build paths are very different. To me, Leaf seemed a lot more 80 carry, and I guess that's grass type, right? Would be the appropriate way. So the grass build seems much more 80 carry and range focused, like range auto attack focused, where the ghost type felt much more ability focused.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I said I haven't read the abilities yet, actually.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk about it. I actually didn't know you haven't read them yet. So let's go ahead and look at it. So these are the first two abilities that you have to choose from. Again, for the sake of people on screen, I might edit this in, but we're looking at it together. So we have Razor Leaf, which summons whirling razor leaves for a short time. After using this move, the user's attack and basic attack speed are increased. In addition, the user's basic attack can target multiple opposing Pokemon for a short time. And then at level 11, you get the plus upgrade, which increases the user's basic attack damage the higher the opposing Pokemon's remaining HP is. So this is a built-in muscle band.
How does that work with the red buff? hitting opposing
This is the question I have.
Basic attack, because I'm terrified.
Listen, how does Muscle Band apply on all the hits? Does each hit have the ability to crit with Scope Lens?
Which one does Razor Claw apply to?
Exactly, and Razor Claw will probably apply to the main hit, but you just don't know, right? We just don't know. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with League of Legends. Have you ever heard of the item Runin's Hurricane?
I am not.
So in League of Legends, it's literally what the item makes you do this. When you shoot, it it splits off and you'll hit like 3 things at once. So you'll hit your main target and it splits off and hits like 2 other things. So when you see this being fired out, it really just looks like this volley of just sprays all over the place. It's really, really cool. I'm excited most, I think, about this ability personally.
That sounds really cool.
It looks really cool. And then the upgraded version.
As a tank main.
Yeah, no, this is a shredding ability for sure. Like this is going to be some really good shred. But the crazy thing is that the other ability you have the option of taking is really good as well. So Spirit Shackle. This one charges power before firing quills in the designated direction. Damage dealt by quills increases the longer the power is charged, but movement speed is decreased while charging. If this move hits after power is charged to the maximum, it can stitch the opposing Pokemon Shadow to the ground. The affected Pokemon receives damage upon moving a set distance from that location, and its movement speed is decreased for a short time. Level 11, it gets upgraded, deals increased damage to opposing Pokemon with low remaining HP. So it's pup from a distance. You charge it, you shoot it, it basically like sticks their shadow to the ground, and if they step out of it, they're going to get that move speed decrease, and they're going to take damage. So
why?
That seems strong, right? It does. Yeah, it seems really strong. So to me, what we're looking at here is 80 carry, run around and spam for Razor Leaf, and then much more ability caster Spirit Shackle.
Yeah.
So really interested to see. I'm what I will say meta wise, I really hope that there isn't like a huge discrepancy between these two balance wise. Like I hope they're both really good. I hope they're both really, really good.
They both sound really good, but numbers will tell, right? Numbers are gonna tell us everything.
All right, so let's quickly look at Leaf Storm. This ability to me looked a little underwhelming, if I'm being honest, but I don't want to jump too early on that. But creates a tempest of sharp leaves, dealing damage to the opposing Pokemon it hits and decreasing their movement speed for a short time. At point-blank range, it also shoves opposing Pokemon it hits. Level 13 upgrade version increases the length of time that the movement speed of opposing Pokemon is decreased. So this is just like, you just shoot it, it does some damage. If they're close to you, it shoves them back, and then it slows them. So this is kind of like your, I need to stay at range, I need to disengage from you a little bit kind of move.
Sounds really strong to me. Like the way I picture it is, so you'd hit your stem, right? The other ability is kind of a stem, and you would have attack speed increase and be hitting basic attacks, and this will stop them from getting to you and allow you to kite and shove them if they get close. Like that combination seems really strong.
I think the thing about it for me is that I didn't really see footage of the shove. So I don't. If it makes some considerable space, I think it's going to be solid, because it's like, yo, that like I'm getting dove, boom, like push them off of me, and you just continue to spam. That would be really, really cool.
Huge. That could
now
be huge.
This ability. This next one is the one that really throws me, because it sounds so incredibly interesting. Shadow Sneak. Creates a shadow that takes hold of one opposing Pokemon in the area of effect, dealing damage to it and decreasing its movement speed and defense for a short time. Also increase the user's movement speed for a short time. And then the upgrade version further decreases defense. So it takes hold of one opposing Pokemon. And I think, if I'm correct, the way that it looks, you have to be like near someone for this to happen. Like it has, it's like an AoE around you. So like if you get engaged on, like a Lucario dashes to you, you Shadow Sneak, and it'll decrease their defense, it'll slow their movement speed. That sounds scary to me. Like,
can you still basic attack while this is happening?
I think so. Yeah, I think you like fire this out. Oh, and this is a sure hit. And this is a sure hit.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
This so far seems like a really, really strong.
This seems like a really big move.
Yeah, this is.
For me personally, if I'm being honest, I gotta test everything, of course. I'm most excited about Spirit Shackle and Shadow Sneak, and I'm most excited about Razor Leaf and Shadow Sneak. I want to try both of those possibilities, and then of course Leaf Storm will be looked at.
Experiment with all of it.
Exactly.
All of the things,
people keep asking me like day one what build I'm gonna run. I'm gonna try Razor Leaf Shadow Sneak. That's my day one. What I want to try.
I am going to try the ranged pup.
It looks so good. And then of course you saw the ultimate, which. You know what it is. It fires a bunch and then unleashes that last shot that will pierce.
I liked the way they teased this when they announced this. Right, they said knock knock. Like, you know what I mean?
True.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
was
true.
really cool.
So really cool stuff from Decidueye. Obviously, like I said, I'm expecting it to be more on the jungle side of things, but we really don't know. Let's go ahead and talk about meta in general. Who is the biggest winner in meta right now for you?
I think it's still Lucario.
I mean, obviously, that's obviously what it is.
I just don't know if that's ever going to change at this point, honestly. I think it's just Lucario.
Yeah,
Lucario is...
we were doing some fives practice today, and the game for me, and I think you're going to agree, it's just kind of for the sake of the discussion, it's just whichever team has the stronger Lucario. Like, like a lot of the game, the whole early game is just about who's winning that top lane 1v1, who's scoring the most, who's getting that huge lead, and it is such a dominating thing. And the crazy thing is... E-speed and pup, like it's not just one build, like it's
they're both so strong. I do think bottom lane does matter, but even if a bottom lane wins, if Lucario on the top is like 2 levels ahead, then it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and like it just nullifies whatever.
Yeah.
I think even a bottom lane stomp is not going to make up for a really strong Lucario. It would definitely help, don't get me wrong. If anything, it could like even it out some, but a strong Lucario,
especially on dangerous, you can't stop them. You can't stop them.
Yeah, so one thing that I have a lot to say about meta in general is just that we do exist in a blind version of this game, like a blind pick. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, blind pick version of the game. So the meta of a game when you have blind pick, hard sets, right? Like you find out what's strong, and boom, that's what gets played a lot. And there's a little variation. Don't get me wrong. Like there's a couple there's a few junglers. There's a couple of attackers.
And some teams aren't running Lucario and they're still doing well, you know. But it's because Zeraora can 1v1 Lucario really well, and Greedent still is very unpunishable. So I think there are a few different strategies, but like a good Lucario, a really good Lucario just carries games.
Yeah. So top lane meta, and of course, because we're talking about like uncoordinated play in meta, it's hard to kind of pull in the solo queue discussion of like 2-2. But let's just talk about like strong picks. What are things that are very, very reliable to you in the meta?
I think in which role? Just any role? Or?
Yeah, just any role. Like what is good, just in general, like blanket.
I think if you don't have Eldegoss on your team, why? That's one thing. I think Eldegoss is unbelievable right now. Even though Lucario is probably the hardest carry in the game, I think Eldegoss is the most essential Pokemon to have on your team in the game right now. I think Zeraora is very strong, very strong. I think Charizard is rising up. I think Charizard's pretty decent, but I think must-haves on a team are like Lucario, Zeraora, and Eldegoss right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that there's a pretty close race for the tank defender role between like Mime and Snorlax for sure. Snorlax, I just feel like Snorlax is kind of like autopilot kind of. Mime takes a little bit more like prowess to play, mechanical prowess to play. But Snorlax is just insane. Mime is really insane. And as far as solo queue goes, because we are doing like a meta talk and we're just talking about the game in general, I think like if you're a support player and you love Blissey, if you're playing solo queue, play the hell out of that Blissey, right? Like it's going to be good. It's tough to carry solo queue games, but the point is that you're not going to not bring value by bringing Blissey. I agree with you. I think Eldegoss is probably one of the most impactful heroes in the entire meta. You have a shield that also heals if you're using it in that way. You have a gigantic ultimate that makes you like untargetable. You get to pop a buddy barrier off of it, land on your teammate, displace the enemies, and heal your teammates. You have a leaf tornado, which is one of the best engage tools in the entire game. Like what can't the character do?
Basic attacks.
Yeah, and it has that it makes people miss. Like it's a very very impactful hero in the game, or Pokemon in the game, and yeah, it's crazy. Jungle. Let's go through the jungle. What do you think is? I mean, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, but like, give me your thoughts on jungle picks currently.
So I think if you're running Lucario, then Zeraora is the best jungle in the game right now. I don't think level 9 is as important as it used to be. It still does swing games here and there, but it's such a strong pick. Discharge is very strong, and I think Charizard's rising up. I think the AD carries are still very strong, Cinderace and Greninja, but into things like Zeraora and Charizard, it's a lot harder to play them. They get punished very hard for even stepping one tiny foot out of position. What do you think of the jungle at the moment?
Yeah, the jungle role is funny because with laning being so much about winning lane, laning, I think, ironically has less wiggle room for viable picks than jungle does, because jungle is free farm. Jungle is about picking the character you want to have for the comp, and laning is about winning the lane. So when you look at lane picks, like for example, let's just talk about like the team comp we've been playing. Our lane that we play mostly is like Pikachu, Mr. Mime or Snorlax, and Eldegoss, and we play that lane very intentionally because it wins lanes. We run Lucario in top lane because if we're playing well, we win lane. When we play jungle, it's like, what do we want to have for the team fight? What do we want to have for the first Dreadnought or for the first Rotom? And so, you know, things like Talonflame, Cinder, even Greninja. I've seen a lot of like there's the Spanish speaking team we fought against the other day. They run Fen, his name's Fenrir. I'm just giving him a shout out because they kind of clapped us a couple times. Oh wait, that was the day you weren't on. We kind of got clapped by this guy, dude. He was a nasty Greninja. He still, loves his Greninja, so I respect that. But yeah, Greninja, Charizard, Zeraora. I mean, there are really good jungle picks out there, and it all comes down to, what do you want to play? And even something like what I've been doing, which I don't think is really meta. I'm not going to recommend this for solo queue or anything. I love playing tanks in the jungle. I love bringing a second tank to the team. I think the thing about, and this is just my perspective, I think the thing about bringing a second tank into a team comp is you have to be winning lanes. Like you have to be like hard winning lanes. Otherwise, it's just like I don't really influence that much.
This may be a hot take, but I think there's a little bit of wiggle room for Absol right now because
I agree.
Getting your Lucario ahead can win you the game.
Yeah, I agree. I've been playing it a little bit when we 5-man, and I actually don't hate it. Like I like it a lot. It's really, really fun. So yeah, jungle is a very open role, very influential, very, very fun, and it's really, really cool. So I'm trying to think of where I want to go. And meta wise, we have like really strong picks. You get a lot of that blind pick, kind of mirror matches. Is there anything in the meta that you think that's kind of like rising? Do you see any viability for these Gardevoir changes, these Alolan Ninetales changes?
I don't see Gardevoir getting play until Roltis changed. I think the problem was never Gardevoir. Gardevoir's fine. Gardevoir's a strong Pokemon. It's just that getting it to level 10 is a chore. It is a chore, and it is just against a good team like a Mime, a Snorlax. You're not getting it. They're not letting you get level 10.
Yeah, and ties into that the idea of what a strong laner is, like secure farm.
Yeah, and even poke, right? Rolls doesn't even really poke well. It's safe, but it just can't really do anything. And Ninetales, I still want to do some more testing with. I actually think it's pretty strong. When we played it, we saw similar damage numbers to Pikachu. It seemed to be doing really well. It's just Blizzard doesn't go through walls, which I think is a big problem.
It is weird, right?
You can't position too well and fight through walls. Even if the corner hits a wall, it'll Talonflame.
Which is weird because the character is so immobile. Like, look at Pikachu. You can throw all your abilities over every wall, and it's super long range. You look at Ninetales, you're forced to position kind of badly in some ways to get your damage off. But the burst on like Avalanche Blizzard combo,
and the CC.
It's great. So I think Ninetales... So I was saying on stream last night that I'm not convinced yet, but above other attackers, like Ninetales stepped over Cram, I think.
Yeah, I think Ninetales stepped over Cram for me. I think Cram early game is still Cram. It still takes all your farm, but then to the mid to late game, it doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough. Yeah.
What about defenders? Like, what do you think? Like, it's so funny because the defender role in general, I feel, is really strong, but there's just such little room for other defenders. It feels like
one of them is a tank. I feel like Snorlax is a tank, and then like Krashy is a speedster, and Greedent is a speedster, and Blastoise is an all-rounder. And I guess Green's an all-rounder too. And then like Slowbro is like a support. Like I feel like only
Mamo is like a tank.
Oh, Mamo, yeah.
It's funny because I think Mamo's a tank, but I think Mamo's a bad tank. Like, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't do the role well. Like
if you have to quickly peel for your team, you can't like just stand there and wait for like all the frames of Mamo Swine to do it. It just can't do the job.
I think if they could take literally the high horsepower slam frame and the earthquake slam frame and cut that locked in frame like by half. I think the character would be really good, and I think that I don't know if this would be enough, but a part of me feels like it would. I think if they added one more slam on his Unite move,
Unite,
and maybe even like so you know how Snorlax's does like the knockup? like
and then
Storm,
roll over.
yeah. What if Mamo had one extra slam and it had like a mini knockup? So it's like it's like the same knockup as Snorlax's, but it's like half the duration. So they go like boop, you know what I mean, boop, and then they can't do anything for like a half a second, and you know what I mean. It's like
I mean that's not unreasonable. Look at Mimo. Look at Man's Unite move. You know, that's stunning them forever. So I think that could be really good for MSY.
Yeah. As far as supports go, I think there's something to be said about the characters and their categories, like the actual battle types, because the battle types, they don't really mean anything. They really are just for the presentation of the game, right? Oh, this is a supporter, but it doesn't really mean to say a lot. Like Wiggly is much more
like stat lines.
And I think the only reason I bring it up is just to let people know that like meta will never be defined by the battle type. It'll be defined by how a character can actually be played and what a person and team can do. Yeah, exactly. Mime is a tank. Wiggly is mostly a tank, kind of there is a pseudo role in the game that doesn't have a play. It's like disruptor. Like there just is. Like I feel like Wiggly and Mime lean into like tanky disruptors, but they're not.
I think
hard
they
tanks.
And if we had another category called healers, we could shove the other ones in there. You know?
Yeah, and it's funny because in a game like Heroes of the Storm, they used to have support, and it had like all the supports in it, and they actually somewhere down the line they split them. They made supports and they made healers because it was like very clearly a difference. And the reality is, when you're making a game like this, you want to make supporty characters, but not every support needs to be a healer because that's just going to get power crept. How many different kinds of heals can you make, right? You know what I mean? So I think that the way that Unite has approached their battle types is to just clump them together, and I actually think it's fine. It's fine. We had a discussion on stream yesterday about how there's the two archetypes of attackers. You have AD carries and you have mages or casters. You know, and for the sake of the discussion here, AD carries are auto attack focused attackers, Greninja, Cinderace. Mages are basically everything else, ability focused, AP carries, SP carries. So
and
balance, and Decidueye looks like both, and Venusaur is kind of both too if you really look at it. I think Petal Dance doesn't feel AD carry, but it's like it's much more of a different build to caster Venusaur, so it's I kind of mean it's both in that sense that it has two very different builds. Very bruisery, all-aroundery kind of style of play. So balance wise, what do you think about the game? Like, is the game well balanced or is it badly balanced?
I think it's hard to say. So the game seems well balanced because there are a couple of options in every role, and every game's always going to have a few standouts. Most metas in games have a few standouts. It's never that diverse. I just think Lucario is still a little bit too strong, even though Pokemon like Zeraora can deal with it. It's just too impactful to me. I would love to see some more changes to Lucario, but maybe Eldegoss needs a little bit of hit too, to be honest. Maybe either like basic attack range or a little bit of damage taken off, because Eldegoss is dropping like 40-50k of damage while still healing their entire team. But it's crazy.
It is a lot.
But other than that, it seems pretty alright to me. What about you?
I think to answer my own question, I think that the balance is, I'll always say this because I feel like it's important. Balance isn't really something that you can actually fully achieve. It's just like there's always going to be a standout, whether it's good or bad. And right now, the balance, like there's like 3 or 4 characters that I think are problematic. There's like a few on the bottom side, the Gars, Gardevoir, Gengar, and Garchomp. They just can't catch a break. And then you have like Lucario and maybe even Zeraora that's just overperforming a little too hard. All right, Louche, one last question and we'll wrap up. So I'll ask it for you. I'll answer it myself. Give me 3 balance changes you would make.
3 balance changes I would make? Lucario's cooldowns. Zeraora discharge radius, but not by too much. And Eldegoss basic attack range.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, obviously that's kind of a, like, I'm trying to put us on the spot by only giving us 3 because we could make way more.
I can see it for hours.
So my perspective, because I want to give thoughts on Lucario, is that I think that there's always multiple ways to balance something. I would probably hit Lucario's cooldowns by very small amount, 1 to 2 seconds on 1 or 2 abilities. I think that what I want to do is cut that attack shield down. That 250% attack scaling shield, I think that needs to come down to like 100, 150, because he is so mobile, does so much damage, and has a massive shield. And I think that that's really problematic for the character because they just get away with so much. So that's what I would hit personally. my next balancing tool would be to make Garchomp's stacks fall off one at a time and have each stack give him some kind of a move speed increase. I honestly think that might be enough to make Garchomp good. Make it to where the stacks persist longer. Oh, you know, Phil gave me a good idea.
Yeah, you're talking about the out of combat?
Yeah, like it's whenever he was saying like when you get hit as Garchomp, it keeps like make the stacks be combat focused, not hit focused maybe. So like when you get hit, it doesn't give you a stack, but it remains the stack. It upholds the stack, because that would be really helpful.
Too hard punished, you can actually
exactly
your rush back, you can catch them.
And I think my third balance pick, my third balance would be my third balance would be to hold on. I have to look up the move because I don't want to misspeak.
Okay.
I know what I'm thinking though. I would take Gardevoir. You can. I'll take Gardevoir's level, like the level 1 confusion. I would double the damage on it, like double it, so it can like hit hard. It's a poking tool in lane. It can hurt Pokemon and it can secure farm. And instead of teleport giving you a boosted auto, teleport refreshes the cooldown of confusion. So that way in lane, you're like boom, boom, like they gotta think about when you're gonna confusion. I think that could make Ralts really good.
It could be. I feel like it still just doesn't do any damage.
That's why I'm saying you gotta double the damage of it, or maybe even triple the damage of it. I don't know.
I feel like maybe if they tweak the damage a little as well, like it just doesn't do anything. It does nothing. I have played against some really good Gardevoirs, and I've seen them early game. They make really good like wall out plays with teleport. Like you can't catch them. You can't get them, and it's really cool. But like they're not taking any farm. They're just making cool out plays.
Yeah.
You know? So something like that. If they had that tool, that would be really strong.
Just to like long range secure a camp. You know what I mean? Just even your own farm if you have to keep it neutral with a character. All right. Did you want to add to your change?
I was actually going to add Ralts to the list. That's what I was going to add. I was going to add Ralts to the list because I feel for Ralts. I feel for poor Ralts.
Character, the Gardevoir is such a fun character. It is the I think as far as the actual kit design, it is the truest of mages of the game. Oh, it's a caster. It is a literal caster. Like it's so cool. I love Future Sight. I love Moonblast, Psychic, Psyshock. I love all the abilities.
Really strong.
They're so fun. Yeah, it's pretty solid. So
was it always that big? Did they create like was
I don't know. It looks bigger to me. It looks bigger to me, but I might be crazy. In any case, friends, Louche, thank you so much for being here. Definitely check out the link in the description. Check out the link in the pinned comment. Go subscribe. Louche, you're coming up on 1,000, so make sure you get in there. The exclusive I was here before 1,000 comment that you get to have for yourself. But as always, friends, thanks for watching. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, like, follow, whatever, for future Pokemon Unite content. And be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone you love them, and we'll see you on the next video.